Okay, I believe we are recording. Okay. Can everyone see that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, today's topic is next steps for the spring semester and what you should be doing after you submit your college applications. Okay, so this is kind of an agenda of different things that I'm going to talk about today. The first one being maintain your grades. So once you receive your acceptance letters back from colleges, they'll send you what's called a conditional acceptance. So what that means is you are admitted, but there are conditions to your acceptance, right? So some schools will say, you know, we want you to maintain the same grades that you had when we admitted you. Some will say you need to make sure you pass all of your classes with a C or better, maintain your A through G eligibility, things like that. Some students think that like they just have to pass their classes with just C's and they'll be fine. And then they'll receive their letter and it says like, oh, like maintain a B average or maintain the GPA that you had when we admitted you, and they get really stressed out. So I don't want that to be the case for you. Finish strong, continue to do well in the spring semester. It's super important. You don't want to, you know, come all that way and then have to deal with the stress of having that letter come in and then feeling like your acceptance might get taken away because you're not doing as well. And then if you think about it, senior year of high school is really supposed to be the year before you go to college. So you're really supposed to be like the most prepared senior year in order to do well in your freshman year of college when it comes to like the academic rigor. And so colleges want to see that you're continuing to do well and that you're not just like giving up now that you've been admitted. So when in doubt, just do well, finish strong, and you're so close to the finish line. You know, just try to stay focused and keep your eye on the prize. This is also a good time after you submit all of your college applications to thank your recommenders for writing you a letter of recommendation and helping you fulfill the requirements to get into college. So something as nice or as simple as sending an email to your teachers and your counselor and just saying, thank you so much for, you know, taking time to write me a letter of recommendation. I know this is time consuming, but I really appreciate it. Is always just a nice gesture to do. You'll want to complete your financial aid applications if you haven't already done so. The spring semester is a great time to apply for scholarships. You'll also want to, if you're planning on living on campus, you'll want to complete a housing application. And then checking your email is so, so important. Every year we have students who you know, fail to check their email regularly and they miss out on really important information, or maybe a college will reach out to them and say, hey, there's something that's missing in your application. You know, we need you to submit your transcript, or we need this one, you know, documentation from you in order for your file to be complete. And the student misses it and then they miss the deadline, and then a lot of colleges are not flexible when it comes to, you know, having your documents submitted on time, just because at that point they're really expecting students to be responsible. They're thinking of you as kind of like a college student, so they want you to be responsible, they want you to take initiative, and they want to make sure that you're you know, on top of everything that you need to get done. So it's important that you're staying organized, that you're checking your email frequently, and that you're submitting everything in a timely manner and you're meeting all your deadlines. And they really will communicate with you via email for the most part, but you'll also want to check your college portals as well. So what I mean by college portal is after you submit a college application, typically the college will email you and say, you know, thank you for submitting your application. Now please create a college portal at this link. So this can be a little tricky when you've applied to a lot of schools. So for example, if you have applied to 10 colleges, you'll most likely need to create 10 college portals. and it's individualized for each college. And so within that portal, they usually will post your financial aid package. They'll post a to-do list of items that you need to take care of, if any at all. They'll post, anything that your application is missing or that your file is missing. So if they still need like your transcript, or if they haven't received a letter of recommendation from you yet, they'll post it in your portal. And then usually you'll also find out whether or not you've been admitted to a university within your college portal as well. And then you can accept your admissions, or you can deny your admissions offer within your portal too. So it's really important that you're staying organized and you're keeping track of all of the different accounts that you're creating. So earlier in the year, I did a presentation on something relating to college portals and scholarships, I think. And I sent out an Excel sheet, which was just like an organizer for a way to keep track of all of the different accounts that you're creating, the usernames and the passwords that you use to create those accounts, and then the link to those college portals, just to have like one centralized place to go to, so that you know exactly where to go to check your college portals. And then again, within your college portals, you'll see like a to-do list of items. So it's good to check that on a weekly basis as well. All right, so if you have any changes to your academic record, or there has just been something that changed that you want to let your colleges know about, you'll need to notify your campuses individually. So you'll want to contact your schools via email, and you'll want to contact them directly. So it's always good to do this via email, just because it's good to have a paper trail. So if you call and you speak to a representative over the phone, they may not, record it. They may not add it to your file. So it's best to do this via email, and you'll want to send them a professional email. So say, you are no longer enrolled in a math class that you reported on your application, or you had a withdrawal from a class. And so you know that your transcript is now going to look differently compared to what you reported in your application when you applied. You'll want to email the college and say, hey, I just wanted to, let you know that I'm no longer in this class, for example, and here's my student ID or my application ID number. Here's my first name, my last name, and my date of birth. So you do want to let them know about any changes to your academic record. If you have joined a new club or an extracurricular activity that you feel like is super significant and worth mentioning, you can definitely email them with that update as well. And then I just wanted to show you, for those of you applying to UCs, there's this website that it tells you like some different things to know after you apply. And then in terms of updating your application, it tells you what to do for each campus. And then you can click on the campus name so that you can learn more about specifically what you need to do for Davis, for example, if you need to update your application. Okay. So now we're going to talk about campus housing. Okay, so you'll want to check your email and your college portals for housing applications and deadlines. Campus housing will differ from campus to campus. And then most of the UCs and a lot of schools will require that you submit your statement of intent to enroll prior to applying to housing. But some campuses do allow you to apply for housing prior to you actually even committing to the campus. And I'll explain that in a little bit more detail. Okay, some schools will have an application fee for housing, and typically these fees are non-refundable. Some do not have a fee though for applying to housing, so it kind of just depends. Some schools might not have an application fee, but they do require a deposit or an initial payment, and that usually is not refundable, but it can be refundable. Like part of the fee might be refundable, or all of it might be refundable if you request it by a certain deadline. And so you'll just want to check with your colleges to understand their terms and conditions. And so for Cal States, for example, some universities will allow you to apply for housing prior to you even committing to the university. And typically they do that because housing is impacted. So one example is San Francisco State University. They opened their housing application pretty early. And so I think last year they opened it around October. So it was really, really early. So if that's a school that you really want to go to, they're short on housing, and there's just not a lot of room there. So they open it early for people that, are really serious about it. So you can apply early. I don't I don't remember if they have an application fee. They might. The application fee is usually non-refundable, but it's usually around like $35. So San Francisco, CSU East Bay, and San Jose State, they all open their housing applications early, and you can apply early. But for the most part, most colleges will say, commit to the university first, and then you apply after the fact. When it comes to housing, sometimes some schools will say it's a first come, first served basis, and that's usually for campuses that don't have a lot of housing available. So, like UC Berkeley, they usually don't have a ton of housing. I know they're building housing now, they're building more housing, but I know for them it's like a lottery type system. So it's not guaranteed, but most freshmen will get housing if they want to live on campus at Berkeley. Not always guaranteed, but it usually is for most campuses. Most campuses will guarantee housing for freshmen for a certain amount of years. If not for the first year, they might allow it for at least some universities will say you're guaranteed housing all 4 years, depending on how impacted the campus is. Okay, so this is just an example of what some housing fees might look like. So for example, San Diego State, they don't have an application fee for housing, but they do require an initial payment fee of $375. And this usually goes toward your housing fees. So it's not just, to apply, it goes towards something. UC Berkeley's application fee for housing is $35, and then they also require a $300 advance deposit, which is applied toward housing, and $150 of it is refundable if you cancel by their deadline. Santa Clara University, their housing application opens January 6th, and you can apply by May 1st for priority, and they do require a $500 prepayment deposit. And this isn't information that you'll have to look up. They'll communicate all of this with you. I'm just giving you this now so that you kind of know what to expect and know what to look out for. All right, so now we're going to talk about college deadlines. So there are a lot of different deadlines to be aware of, but again, try not to be too overwhelmed or stressed out by this information. Colleges are going to email you and they will communicate with you via email. Colleges are really good about that, and they're really good at trying to contact you multiple times if they don't hear from you. So they do give you a couple of different chances to redeem yourself if you're not responding. But it is important that you're just, again, making sure that you check your emails regularly. In May 1st is the deadline to commit to a university. So they call it the statement of intent to enroll or the statement of intent to register. So that is typically a national deadline. So you have until May 1st to decide where you want to go to a university. So you'll want to, again, commit by that deadline. And colleges are typically not flexible. So if you miss that deadline, it's not going to be easy to try to reach out to the college after the fact and say you really want to go to their university. A lot of schools have a lot of people wanting to go, and so you really have to be on top of it and make sure you commit by that date. Other deadlines to be aware of are waitlist deadlines. So sometimes if you're offered a spot on the waitlist, colleges will say you need to opt into the waitlist by a certain deadline. So you'll want to be aware of that. Making sure that you know when your final transcript needs to be sent, financial aid deadlines, things like that. And you can also get a head start by checking your college websites to look up when these deadlines are. Okay, now we'll be talking about how you can go about accepting your admissions. So how to accept admissions. Again, usually you'll do this within your college portal. once you log in, it'll say, you've been admitted or you've been accepted, and then you'll select yes, I'd like to commit to this university. And then sometimes there's an enrollment deposit or an enrollment fee that's associated with accepting admissions. So you'll just want to pay for that fee, so that they know that you are committed, and it's usually not refundable. And you'll only want to accept admissions to one campus by May 1st, just because it kind of messes with colleges' numbers. If multiple people, if you accept admissions to multiple campuses, they're going to expect that you're coming, and then they're not going to be able to offer as many people, a wait list, people from the wait list to come to their university. So they really, strongly discourage students to accept admission to more than one campus. If you are interested in pursuing a gap year, you can definitely reach out to your college and let them know that you want to pursue a gap year, and you can ask them if your admissions can be deferred. So some schools, like on their website, they'll say like, no, we do not allow for gap year. We do not allow for students to defer their admissions, but I have had students that reached out to the school anyways. So for example, I had a student that got admitted to UC Berkeley. She wanted to do a gap year. They say on their website that they don't allow students to take a gap year. She reached out to them. They said yes. They made an agreement with the student, and she was able to take a year off. So that is something that you should definitely email an admissions counselor about. Again, make sure you do it via email so that you have something to refer back to, and ask them what the terms and conditions are. One thing to note about taking a gap year is that most colleges won't allow students to take community college courses during their gap year, because then you're considered a transfer student. So a gap year is really designed for students who want to maybe work or travel or volunteer, do some type of community service, something like that. Again, when you commit to a university by May 1st, you might have to pay an enrollment deposit. This fee will vary. So for UCs, it's $250. For CSUs, it ranges between $100 to $300. And then these are just some examples of how other schools do it. So Arizona State University, their enrollment deposit is $300, and that goes towards orientation and housing. University of San Francisco, their enrollment deposit is $750, and that goes toward your tuition. If you can't afford the enrollment deposit, you can always contact financial aid and talk to them. They usually will work with students, and sometimes they'll allow you to pay it in payments, or they'll waive it altogether. And then if your CSU and UC application was waived, then your enrollment deposit may also be waived. So that's something to be on the lookout for as well. Okay, college wait lists. So every year, students will reach out to us and ask us about wait lists and how that process works. So for UCs, they'll notify you by the end of March whether or not you've been offered a waitlist spot, and you'll need to opt in by April 15th. And then they'll send you their final decision by June 1st. So again, if you're interested in being part of a waitlist, some universities say you need to opt into it. So you need to actually like agree to it and then send them any required documents that they're asking for. You should definitely commit to another school by May 1st, even if you have accepted a waitlist offer. And you'll want to complete that entire process to go to a different university by May 1st. So follow their housing application deadlines, their transcript deadlines, all of it. And then if you get taken off of a wait list, say you find out on June 1st, then you'll just have to kind of go through that process for that school that you're taken off the wait list for. And then you'll have to let the other university know that you're no longer planning on attending that school. So that's definitely happened before. I've had many students who didn't get into like their top school, but they were put on a wait list. And so they kind of went through the process for attending another university. They did the housing application, they paid for like their enrollment fees, did all of that, and then found out like by the end of May that they were taken off the wait list. And then they were like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to like do all of this all over again. But typically students will, especially if it's a school that they really wanted to go to. They're like, yep, I'm gonna go through all the steps again, and I'm gonna go to the school that I was taken off the wait list for. And so sometimes it is unfortunate because you might find out later, like June is kind of late. But it, if that's a school you really want to go to, then it might be worth considering. And again, if you can accept a waitlist position at multiple universities, but you will want to commit to at least one school by May 1st because waitlists are not guaranteed, right? And then, yeah, I think I covered everything about waitlists. If you have questions about waitlists, feel free to reach out to myself or Ms. Duran at Los Altos. We can definitely work with you and help you through that process. Okay, appeals. So say you didn't get into a university and you want to appeal your admissions decision. Each university will have a different process for how their appeals work. So you'll just want to look at your school's website for their specific appeal process. So for example, at Cal State University, San Luis Obispo, they'll want you to go through an appeal no later than 15 days after you've received an admissions decision. Most universities will say you should only really go through an appeal process if you have new and compelling information to provide to them. SLO will also say send us your official transcript, and then letters of recommendation and personal statements are not considered. For UC Santa Barbara, the appeal process will appear in your college portal. That tab in your portal will become available at the end of March, all the way through the middle of April. And then again, same thing, they'll want you to provide them with new and compelling information that is not found in your application. You'll need to provide documentation when necessary, and they'll provide you with a text box. And I think you have like 500 words where you get to explain to them, why you feel like you should be given another chance. And then that's where you'll want to provide new and compelling information. And then they actually do allow students to submit a transcript and up to 2 letters of recommendation. Okay, now I'll be talking about financial aid. So if you haven't already done so, you'll want to apply for financial aid. After you apply, either for the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act, you'll want to create a Webgrants for Students account. And within that account, you'll be able to see whether or not you've been awarded a Cal Grant. In your college portals, they'll tell you what types of grants and scholarships you've been awarded within your financial aid package, but it's best to not accept or decline any awards until you know where you're going. And then also, after you've submitted your college applications, it's a good time to apply for scholarships. You can apply for scholarships for Mountain View High School. I post it on our College and Career Center website. Los Altos, Mrs. Duran actually posts a lot of scholarship opportunities in Naviance. So you can check Naviance, or you can check the Mountain View High School College and Career website page. This is what the Webgrants website looks like. So you'll type Webgrants for Students, and then you'll click Create an Account. And then this is what it looks like when you're creating your account. And then once you've created your account, again, you'll be able to see whether or not you received a Cal Grant. If you did receive a Cal Grant, there are 2 things that you need to complete. You'll need to confirm which university you want your Cal Grant to be sent to. And you can wait until after May 1st to complete that step, because a lot of people are not sure where they want to go right away. So, after May 1st, after you've sent in your statement of intent to enroll and you've paid your enrollment deposit and you know for sure you're going to UC Davis, for example, you'll log into your Webgrants for Students portal. You'll confirm that you're going to UC Davis. And then the next thing you have to do is complete a graduation form. That graduation form becomes available the day after you graduate from high school. So you'll log back into your Webgrants account and you'll complete that form. It's super easy. You basically are just letting the California Student Aid Commission know that you have graduated from high school. And then also within this Webgrants for Students account, you'll see if you received a middle class scholarship. So the middle class scholarship is for families who have an income of up to $184,000. So if you didn't qualify for a Cal Grant, you might fall into this range of middle class scholarship. So say your family makes 184,000, then you may be considered for a middle class scholarship. And this scholarship is only good for UCs or CSUs. And how it works is if you qualify, they'll cover anywhere between 10 to 40% of your tuition costs. Okay, financial aid and appeals. So you'll want to check your portal, your college portal, for your financial aid package. If something significant has changed within your family's financial situation, then you'll definitely want to file an appeal. So obviously this year has been a struggle for many. There have been many changes for a lot of different families. So, on your financial aid application, you're reporting information from 2019. So if your family's financial situation has significantly changed in 2020, that's something that you're definitely going to want to let your college's financial aid office know about. So every single college has a financial aid office, and you'll want to contact them and say, my family's financial situation has changed. How can I go about, making an appeal or having my financial aid package reconsidered? And you'll want to do this once you've actually already been admitted to the university. So typically, if you haven't been admitted yet, the financial aid office is not going to take the time to review your package because they don't know if you're even planning on going to that school yet. So once you've received your acceptances and you kind of have an idea of where you want to go, then you should contact the school's financial aid office and let them know of the changes. I wanted to show you Chapman University's website for appeals for financial aid because I just feel like they do a really good job at explaining it. So you can kind of go to their website. They give you some examples of what changes can consist of. So maybe your family has new medical bills that they did not have in 2019, but they have in 2020. Maybe your parent is no longer receiving child support. Maybe someone in your family died and that comes along, with additional expenses. So you can kind of use their website as a guide to how financial aid appeals work. Okay, and then these are just some really great financial aid resources. So if you, receive your college acceptances back and then you are trying to decide between a college, a lot of students, want to consider finances as a factor in terms of where they're actually going to go to school. So this is a really great resource. College Board has this Big Future resource where you can actually put in how much it's going to cost for each school, how much each school is offering you in grants and scholarships, and then you can calculate the costs at the bottom, and then it'll show you which college is going to be the most affordable, which one maybe is offering you the least amount of loans and the most amount of scholarships and grants. And then you can kind of compare and contrast, okay, do I really want to graduate with all this debt, or do I want to go to a school that I still really like and is still really a good fit for me, and they're offering me a really great package? So that's a really great resource to check out. This one is an estimate of how much aid you're going to receive depending on where you're going. This link helps you determine how much school is just going to cost by the time that you graduate. This is an estimate of your student loan debt and payment options and kind of how loans work. This one is helping you understand your financial aid offer. And then the last resource on here is just additional tips and advice and resources for understanding loans and financial aid packages in general. And then if you just have questions about financial aid once you receive your package, feel free again to reach out to the College and Career Center at your high school, and we can definitely kind of walk you through what the school is offering you and what our advice is when it comes to loans and taking out loans and things like that. Okay, so this is just some final advice. and things to look out for. So in your email, you'll receive information about orientation and registering for an orientation. So you'll want to make sure that you are, reading through that and registering. And then you'll receive emails about registering for classes over the summer. You'll receive an email about placement information, like what English and math classes you're being placed in, and to know what to register for. Typically in the spring, colleges will reach out letting you know about campus preview days. So this is an opportunity for the campuses to kind of show off their school and kind of try to convince you to come to their campus. Obviously, with the pandemic, that might look a little bit differently this year. There may be more like virtual opportunities to preview campuses, but nonetheless, I feel like that is definitely a great opportunity to help you figure out where you should go. Be on the lookout for move-in dates when it comes to housing. And again, I can't stress this enough, check your email and your portals often. And then these are just some cool quotes. Keep going, you've got this. You're so close to the finish line. I was a senior in high school at one point as well, and so I know that feeling of senioritis. I know it's so real, and you are tired and you kind of start to feel a little bit burnt out, especially with this virtual environment. I feel like it can be even a bit more draining and exhausting at times being on a computer all day. But just know that you're so close, stay focused, finish strong. And this is a quote that I really like as well. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. So sometimes when I'm feeling really overwhelmed about everything I have to get done, I just try to think about one thing at a time. So take it one day at a time, one task at a time, and just know that like you don't have to get everything done at once. And everything that I went over today, it was a lot of information, but just know that everything is going to come in parts. Like your first part that you completed was your application. Great, that was the first step. Next step is creating that portal. Next step after that is maybe applying for scholarships. Next after that is housing. So just know you don't have to, take care of all of this right now. It's just a matter of staying organized and keeping track of things and taking it one day and one task at a time. And that is the end of my presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing now and I'm going to stop recording.